Hello everyone and welcome back to a totally normal podcast about films, Atom Path. And yeah, wasn't meant to be this way, but we're doing a double bill today, 2 episodes. It's not always going to be this way, but we wanted the Halloween episodes out in October. I am the lovely Claire, and I am joined by my co-host,
the ill Leon.
Yes, unfortunately Leon has a bit of a sore throat, so he might not be as vocal today, but he is still with us in spirit.
Yeah.
And in physical form, I'm actually like he died.
I'm not dead
I can
yet.
hear him now.
I'm still here, I guess.
And the movie we watched this year...
we watched it this year, so nothing wrong so far.
The movie we watched for this Halloween was Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
The, I believe, 2007 cult classic horror comment. Hang on. I've been awake for about an hour. Horror comedy. Oh, this is an excellent episode already. Yeah, it's a cult classic horror comedy. It's one of those things that, like, no one ever talks about it, but, like, niche horror fans know it and love it. So, yes. Before we get into spoiler section, of course, what was your general thoughts on the movie?
I quite enjoyed it. But I have to say, it's not the scariest thing you can watch, you know?
Yeah, it's... That I'm gonna make a point about that later, but I agree. It's not a scary movie.
Yeah, I would say it's a spooky movie, and it has a nice atmosphere to it. And maybe, besides maybe 1 or 2 scenes, this would be a movie you could... I don't encourage it, but you could watch it when you're younger, you know?
Yeah, like, don't watch it when you're younger, but, like, you're not gonna get traumatized by it.
Yeah. Not like... I don't know if... Am I allowed to talk about what I watched when I was, like, 12?
Of course you can.
I won't specifically say it, but I watched a lot of horror movies when I was around...
Oh, don't, Leon,
I started
Leon.
when I was 10.
You have to tell me what movie. You can't dangle the thread.
Okay, let me remember. What was my first proper horror movie? It wasn't the Blair Witch Project, but it was one of the first I watched. I
think that's a good one to start on.
Yeah, but it's weird to say it, but I think it was Saw. I watched Saw when I was like 11.
I'd just like to point out that I'm planning on watching Saw for the first time this Halloween, and it has taken me until I was 20 to build myself up to watch it. Oh, gosh. But yeah, I think my first horror movie was either The Woman in Black or Scream.
Oh, The Woman in Black. Yeah, that's a really good one to start.
I'd also argue Coraline, because Coraline is a horror movie.
Yeah, kind of.
Anywho, you've got. I thought the movie was fantastic. I mean, you know, to put it very bluntly, I think this is the best Halloween movie. I don't think it's the best horror movie. I am inclined to agree with you, but it's an amazing Halloween movie.
Yeah, it has an amazing atmosphere and sets the tone.
Yeah, it's like when people say, like, it's a bit like Die Hard. Okay, maybe not Die Hard, but, like, you know, like, not most people associate Halloween with just horror movies, but this is specifically a Halloween movie. While, Christmas movies are always this. Christmas movies are always that feel-good thing, and then you got Die Hard that it's at winter, so it's technically a Christmas movie. Maybe.
For me, one of those Halloween movies that I kind of watched almost every year is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also a Christmas movie, so yeah.
I tend to watch it kind of on the in-between. I agree, fantastic movie. One of my favourites, actually. So, yes, to give you guys the general idea of what Trick or Treat is, it's an anthology movie, so it's 4 different stories all interwoven. They seem relatively separate, but they start to intermingle together, and by the end of the movie you have a pretty good idea of what happened when, and how, X is connected to Y. And how and I'm just going to be honest here, I think he's fucking adorable. The main character, Sam, fits into all of it. Don't think we actually say his name in the movie, but it is Sam or Sarwin.
Yeah, I think it's only in the no, not title screen. The stuff that comes up in the beginning when you see all those comic book pages.
Oh yeah, like the opening credits.
Yeah, it says meet Sam, and then you see him. So, yeah, his name is only specified there.
I think he's adorable.
He's cute.
He is the happiest little killer. And I think one of the things about it is, I think no matter what genre of horror you like, I think you will like this movie. Because are you into that kind of, into home invasion slasher movies? There's a story for that. Are you into, that kind of twisted psychotic stuff? There's a story for that. Ghost stories. Or even monsters. It's there. It's got a little bit of everything.
There's even a not exactly that, but it's kind of a revenge story.
Yeah, in a way it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's a story about very bad people, with the exception of one, but we'll get to that one. But very bad people getting their comeuppance in clever ways.
Mm.
And I think I think the films are really good subversive. It's really good at subverting your expectations.
Yeah.
You go into it and you think this is going to be a generic slasher flick, and you come out of it like, oh wow, that actually did a lot of things that I wasn't expecting it to do. Obviously we're not in spoiler territory yet, so I won't mention it, but the culmination of the storyline about the women.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, when that happens, I'm like, oh, this is unexpected.
Yeah.
But it's such a good payoff.
And I have some questions regarding the story later, but just go on.
And don't take this as a bad thing. There is one plot hole. It's not egregious. Hell, I think I even work out how it could be fixed, but there is a plot hole.
I wonder if we have the same thing in mind right now.
We might have the same thing in mind.
Okay.
Would you like to get into spoiler territory?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So just from us, watch the movie, and if this is where you're ending the podcast, have a happy Halloween.
Yeah.
And so, I think we should just go over each storyline one by one, rather than just do what the film does and jump between them.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first storyline, now this is the one I mentioned of, I don't think she really deserved what she got.
She doesn't like Halloween.
Yeah, so it's a couple coming back, and the wife is, I mean, she's being a bit bitchy about Halloween, but, like, she's clearly, like, it's very made clear that, like, she's not being nasty. She's just not had a very nice night. She's not a fan of it.
Mm.
And she's putting away all the decorations, and her husband decides to go inside and, like, kind of ready himself up with some porn, but Sam comes, and it's the horror movie POV shot, and, well, murders her. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only direct kill he does in the movie.
I think so, yeah.
And
it's the first and the last.
I mean, to be fair, the very final act, you think he's going to kill him. And in a way, he kind of does, but, like, that's all in the subtext. So, yeah, and it's really just an intro shot that sets the mood of the movie. And this couple's referenced a lot throughout.
They are.
So, it's what did you think of this story? Because it's not really even a story, it's more just the prologue.
It's good to set the mood for the rest of the film.
Oh.
Like, you kind of get what to expect of this,
Yeah, it sets it up that it's going to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and it's a bit of a dark comedy rather than just an explicit horror movie.
Yeah.
And pretty much immediately after that, and the really awesome title scene, it pretty much establishes that the entire movie is also being showed in a non-linear format.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we start with, and this is, I just have to point out, this story is which immediately sold me on this movie. This is the one I was like, oh, this is a great film. The Serial Killer.
Yeah.
So basically what it is there's a kid, and he's going around and he's smashing pumpkins and stealing candy, just being a bit of a dick. And as he does that, he is approached by his school's principal.
Mm-hmm.
And this entire scene is really clever, because he's teaching him how to carve a pumpkin, and he's kind of implying things. He's just offered him some candy, and the whole scene, you're like, oh, he's gonna stab him. He's gonna stab him.
Yeah.
And then, I will point out, this scene's really fucking gross. The kid starts to gag, and then starts to vomit, and he just says, always remember to check your candy. I think this is the first time I've ever actually seen the poisoned candy trope happen.
I was like, did he put razor blades in there or stuff like this? But it was poisoned. Okay.
Yeah. And carries him in, and they kind of set up one of the next storylines. Because some kids show up and they want his pumpkin. He's trying to hide a body.
Does the kid actually say carve a pumpkin? I don't remember if the kid said
because the three kids from the ghost story come up and they ask if they can borrow his jack-o'-lantern.
Oh! I thought his child.
We'll get to his kid. I love his kid. I just want to say the fucking funniest scene of this section is when he's arguing with his kid from the window, and the kid calls Charlie Brown and an asshole. He starts to reprimand him, and he's there trying to hide a body. So yeah, he starts to bury the body, and he has an encounter not only with his son, who he's promising to he does actually say, I think he just says, like, will you help me with the jack-o'-lantern or something like that.
Yeah.
And he specifically says, don't forget to help me with the eyes.
Yeah.
And he has that encounter, and then his neighbour shows up, and, like, the body regains consciousness, so he's trying to properly kill the body and distract the neighbour. But as he goes back in, and we'll get to this later, you see the neighbour starts to struggle. In fact, he asks for his help, and the guy, like, ignores him.
Yeah, you see the neighbor in the window, how he's smashing the... He tries to get his attention.
Yeah.
And the principal just ignores him.
Which, that's important. This comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And, they come back. He comes in, his son jump scares him. And the whole scene is heavily implying he's gonna kill the kid.
Yeah.
And then they go down to the basement to carve the pumpkin. And he stabs it, and the knife does have blood. You're like, oh wow, he actually killed the kid. But the kid's alive. And it's the kid he poisons head, and that's the jack-o'-lantern. And the kid says, don't forget to help me with the eyes. I'm like, oh, that's so creepy.
So yeah, that was the first thing I didn't see coming.
That was such a clever plot twist.
Yeah.
Like, the implication that, like, there are these Halloween serial killers.
Yeah, like I was thinking, okay, he won't use the knife on the child.
Yeah, I think that was where it was going.
Thinking that, and when he stabbed, I thought, okay, he actually just stabbed the pumpkin or stuff like that. But then when he got the knife back up and it was full of blood, I was like, oh, did he actually stab the child? And then you saw the head of the other child he poisoned.
Yeah. Which is my plot hole. Now, I think the
Okay,
implication...
that's not my plot hole.
I think the implication was, and so I'm going to explain the way around it first. I think the implication was he's killed more people that night.
Yeah.
And that body, one of the earlier bodies, was struggling.
Yeah.
But the way it's set up, you're almost thinking it's the new person. You know? The candy kid. And that's where I was like, again, it doesn't ruin the movie because, there's the implication.
Well, but to be honest, I didn't see that as that much of a plot hole because later on in the movie there will be supernatural beings. So,
oh yeah,
why shouldn't there be a zombie without a head?
Very true. And again, it doesn't ruin the movie. I just like to be fucking pedantic about films I like. But yeah, what did you think about this story?
I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite of them. Just to say, maybe we do a ranking in the end of this podcast.
Yeah. Out of shall we say the four main ones? Because the prologue, it is a story, but it's kind of the weakest out.
The prologue doesn't count as a story.
Yeah. I think this is the weakest, but not out of its bad. I just think the other one... This one, it's like... It hasn't quite subverted what you expect. Like, this still fits into your perception of this is a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Which the film is just absolutely not. And now I must do something very satisfying.
Yeah.
I have opened my can.
I didn't hear it.
I also spilled part of it down my trousers. Very cold.
I didn't hear it.
Oh no. Well, I think it picked up on my mic.
Okay. I will hear it when I edit.
So yes, I think we'll both agree that this is the weakest, but it's not bad.
Exactly.
Next up, I'm going to leave it to you. Do we talk about the ghosts, or do we talk about the girls? Because we're doing the old man last.
The ghosts.
The ghosts. I love the ghost story. I just want to clarify. I think this one's if this one isn't my favourite, it's definitely my second favourite.
We'll see later.
Basically, the plot of this one is it's a bunch of like high schoolers, and basically, the idea is they are assembling this weird girl, and it's heavily implied that she's on the autistic spectrum, although
I was
do
thinking
refer
that
to her
too.
by quite. They're not very nice about it, but like they get their comeuppance. Don't worry.
Yeah, do they use the R word?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
But
I don't know. Was it the R word that is not as bad in America, or was it the S word?
No, the R word it's pretty bad. Both. It's still. It's still
okay,
slur.
because I think there was some.
It's the S word that's actually pretty accepted. Because when I was streaming Psychonauts and they say it, I'm like, that's a really offensive word in the UK. But like, this is a horror movie, and the film, as the film goes on, you very much quickly aware that that's not the filmmaker saying that slur. It's
you
they're
should
very
always
obviously against them.
differentiate between what characters in a movie say and what the filmmaker's views are.
Yes.
Like, if it's a movie about Nazis, you will hear a lot of weird stuff. And it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what if you watch the movie, if you watch the, the series Roots, and, you've got actors, shouting horribly racist thing. Those actors are probably absolutely lovely people. They're just, it's just the character.
Yeah.
But basically, they've got her, and she's kind of obsessed with Halloween. Or more so, the pagan version Samhain.
Yeah.
Which, there's some implications by the end of this, which I love. Because this story is how it very subtly tells you that Sam is Halloween itself. Like, they very subtly tell you that. And basically, it's your typical ghost, creepy story. They're in an abandoned quarry, and the tale goes that there was a school bus that would take special needs kids from the town to a far-off school. And on Halloween, the parents paid the bus driver to kill the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it went wrong because one of the kids who I just wanted to fucking hug the whole time, broke out of his seatbelt, wanted to go home, and while the bus driver was presumably poisoning the kid, trying to poison the other ones, put his foot on the pedal and drove them off of the quarry. The kids never surfaced, and the bus driver went missing. And they go down, and they start screaming, and the girl, the victim, goes down and basically gets horribly pranked by the high schoolers.
Yeah. So you maybe, because we didn't specify it, the high schoolers, they take the girl with them.
Yes.
And at first it's like, oh, this one boy is really nice to her. He seems to actually care. And he compliments...
I thought this was going to be like an awkward, like, they're trying to set him up with her thing.
Yeah. He compliments her and stuff like that. Yeah.
Turns out they're being nasty, but then she ends up breaking glasses and hitting her head, and, like, it's gone too far. And I just want to point out, because, you know, like, the guy who you just mentioned, to be fair to him, he's like, okay, we've gone way too fucking far, you know, we need to take her home. And, you know, one of the other girls was like, you know, like, being a little bitch.
Yeah, she was jealous because she saw how he was interacting with her. Yeah.
And I just want to read I just want to point out what the TV Tropes page says about this guy. It says, the audience forgives him, the movie does not. Which I love that line. It's the sass. It's like, yeah, they don't care.
I was a little bit sad for the little pirate kid too. I think the pirate kid was just like, okay, I'm in with my friends now. I have to. Yeah.
And well, basically the legend is like that you put 8 jack-o'-lanterns, one for each kid in the lake, and the ghosts return.
Yeah.
And as the victim girl is walking back to the elevator, I think enraged, the bitchy girl kicks the last jack-o'-lantern into the lake, and the ghosts of the children rise.
Oh, I didn't get this.
Yeah, no, that's what happened.
Oh, okay. Now it makes more sense.
And it's such a satisfying scene because, one, you're fucking rooting for the ghost kids. You're like, yeah, you deserve your revenge.
Yeah.
And two, it's the fucking scene where they're outside the elevator. She's got the door locked, and she's like, open it, and she just clicks the up button. And like, they very explicitly get killed.
Not explicitly because you don't see it.
Oh yeah, but you hear it.
You can hear it.
You don't
and a little bit earlier, you hear some wolves.
Yes,
howling.
There are wolves to set the scene. The scene. And after she comes up from the elevator, she sees Sam, and they give a glance to each other before she walks off, and I love this scene because one, as I said, that's what implies that Sam is Halloween itself.
Mm.
Two, I like the fact that he respects her because she loves Halloween. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna harm you.
Yeah, Sam doesn't do anything evil towards people who respect Halloween and stuff like that.
Mm. And finally, it's almost the implication that if the ghost children hadn't have arisen, he would have intervened.
Oh.
It's almost like he was waiting there for the bitchy to come up. But although also it could also be implied that perhaps he was the one who rose the kids.
Maybe. Who knows?
What was your thoughts on this section?
I enjoyed this story more than the principal story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this one was great.
And yeah, I love that it was so that it didn't like in horror movies they are sometimes kind of nice to children, like if there's adults in a horror movie, you don't know, will they survive, will they die? But if they are children, it's most likely that they either die in the beginning, if at all, or that they are they get a free pass.
Yeah, they're usually the ones that get possessed.
Yeah.
And I loved how it's it does have this slight ableist overtone, but by the end, it's written in a way that you're meant to sympathise with the kids.
Yeah.
You're meant to sympathise with the kid and the girl, and when they get their comeuppance, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
And this leads us into the virginity story.
Yay.
This is a good one. I mean, they're all good, but, I'm excited to talk about this one. You've probably seen a movie like this, like, there's a couple friends, they've put on really, skimpy costumes, and, like, they're trying to get their one friend who's a bit, shyer and introverted laid. And most of the girls go to the party, but it's just her on her own, the virgin on her own.
Yeah.
Being stalked by a presumed vampire.
Yeah.
Now, this story is kind of sprinkled throughout the whole movie.
Can I say my plot hole right now?
Of course you can.
The vampire, okay?
Yes, I was confused about this.
Because we're in the spoiler section. He is the principal, right?
Yeah, he is the principal.
And the first time you see the vampire with his mask, he makes out with a girl. And it is implied that he's a vampire. And
so she ends up all bloodied and dead.
Yeah. But later, something happens that kind of contradicts this.
My only guess, and this is my only guess as to what happened, is that maybe his fangs had, like, razors in them.
Okay.
But as I said, it's not that well explained. It's not like, why is it with this one dude and plot holes?
Yeah.
It's not like the earlier bit where, like, you could probably explain it. No, this dude is explicitly not a vampire.
Yeah.
Right. So he sneaks up on her, and you think, oh god, she's going to get more than he's going to attack all of them. And her hood falls down from a tree at the party they're at. But it's got the vampire inside. Which is then when it's revealed that he is actually the serial killer, and this takes place after. And this is where it goes from, okay, this is pretty, normal and cliche, to, oh my god, this scene is fucking amazing. When the women turn into vampires. It's such an out of nowhere twist, but, like, the fact that, she was dressed up as little Red Riding Hoods and stuff.
You said they turn into vampires.
Werewolves.
Exactly.
Sorry. They turn into werewolves.
Yeah, I had, like, 3 different ideas of it. Like, was it... First I thought witches.
Yeah.
Then I thought vampires, and then werewolves.
And the being werewolves is so good, because it suddenly becomes a case of, oh no, this isn't about sex, this is about eating her first human.
Yeah, that's what I meant with first time.
And of course, the serial killer gets his comeuppance.
Yep.
Because he gets a fucking eaten. It's such a good scene.
And the transformation looks actually... It's a good transformation scene.
It's a very unique one. I've never seen, like, the skin actually tearing.
I've read a book where they do this. But in the book they are vampires. So, not werewolves, but vampires who shed their skin. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the key things of a good good werewolf movie.
Oops.
Ooh?
Everything's fine.
Okay. A key thing of a good werewolf movie is, ironically, the original Wolfman doesn't have this, but a good transformation scene.
Yeah.
I think the original Wolfman's actually better for not having one, but I digress. that's when they howl, which sets up the timeline really well.
Yeah, I like this little hints when something happens and in which order.
I also love that I think this is the only story where Sam doesn't show up.
Oh, he shows up. He sits. He just sits there at the what is the
Is he at the fire?
The fireplace.
Oh, and I forgot to mention at the serial killer story, Sam shows up to get candy from the serial killer.
Yeah.
Sam is baby.
Very wholesome.
What's your final thoughts on this section?
I really like the twist.
The twist is so good.
Because I didn't see it.
It's like, it's one of those things where it makes so much sense to you. You're like, oh, you fucking bold bastard. That's clever.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I don't think it's my favourite. I think this is actually number 3 for... But yeah, we'll get to the ranking.
Yeah.
Shall we get
I like how you rank it on the way. Okay,
shall we get in
the 4th story?
The 4th story. This one is weird. It's almost in 2 parts. You've got... Basically, this story happens right at the start of the timeline and right at the end.
Yeah.
So after the neighbour's conversation with the serial killer, he goes in and he sits down and he watches he's shadow flicking. There's a couple horror movie references. He's got his adorable little dog Spite.
Yeah.
And it's shown that he hates trick-or-treaters.
Yes. He does. He has a lot of locks at his door. He turns off the lights so they don't think he's home. Yeah.
And then he releases Spite on them.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that Sam doesn't like, it's people not honouring probably the most key tradition of Halloween, trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And this is the only one of the main stories where Sam directly intervenes. Where he breaks in, and it's basically just a massive home invasion slasher film.
Yeah.
It's some old guy versus this little pumpkin demon. And it's great.
And the guy didn't lie. I think when he came out during the first story, he said he has a shotgun.
And he does!
Well, it's set in America, so I don't...
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everybody has a shotgun in America.
And also, when he's talking to the serial killer, he says, "Keep your creepy kid off my lawn." He isn't talking, but he isn't on about the kid. He's on about Sam.
Yeah.
And the two fight, and there's just. It's one of those things where it's really hard to explain because it's such a big action scene. Like, it's one of those things you have to see it.
Yeah.
If you love slasher movies, you've got to watch this scene.
I was like, wow, that's brutal. What are you doing there?
They both get fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam gets shot in the head, he loses an arm, and he gets back. He just puts the arm back on. You see Sam's true face, which finally reveals fully that he isn't human.
Yeah. But I didn't think he was a human.
Yeah, the film very much hints that he is something far more.
Yeah.
He is. And the first part of this scene comes to a conclusion where just as Sam's about to kill the guy after taking a bite out of a lollipop he's been carrying, he's going to use it as an axe, he takes a chocolate bar off of his top which he finally gets candy. He's done trick-or-treating. And he leaves.
He just enjoys.
He's just there for a little snack. Which leads us to the second half of this scene. When, and this is clever because it's the first scene of the movie again, but you finally start to realise that all the characters were there. That there was a girl carrying a thing and almost gets run over. That's the girl from the ghost story. And the people who almost run her over were the girls from the wolf story.
Yeah.
And you see the serial killer's kid waiting for his dad to return in a similar costume. And then the old man who is now giving out candy, even though the man's been like horribly injured.
Yeah, and the kids think, oh, he has a nice costume.
Yeah, no, he's just been beaten up.
And
he looks over the street and he just sees Sam. And it's almost like Sam's like judging him. And then, you know, the scene with the couple happens and Sam's like, yep, no, hang on, I'll get to you in a minute. And I don't know exactly how to word this, but a little earlier, a photo was shown burning in the fire, revealing that the old man was the bus driver.
Doo-doom.
And that's why he hates Halloween. And I love this. This is such a good ending. He gets one last knock on the door. He opens it up, and it's the ghost children. And the vampire kid just says to him, trick or treat, before it cuts into comic book panels of them killing him.
Yeah.
It's such a good ending.
Everybody gets what he deserves. Or she deserves.
Yeah. Everybody wins. Except for that poor woman from the prologue. I can't help but feel bad for her. But, like, what was your thoughts on this story?
I think this one is my favorite.
It brings everything together in a nice bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great story, I think. It gives you that slasher movie thing you want while still being subversive. It wraps everything up. And just when you think it's about to be a peaceful ending, it ends as brutally as a horror movie should do.
Yeah.
But in a good way. I think it's a great ending.
So, let's do the ranking.
Okay. My least favourite is the serial killer, but not because it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yours? I mean, you also mentioned
serial killer or ghosts?
Fair enough.
I go with ghosts then.
Third is the werewolf one, because I think simply just because I wasn't that interested for the most of it, but the werewolf stuff really pulled it up.
Yeah. Then I go for the serial killer.
Okay. I think overall, it's difficult. I think my second favourite is the old man, and my favourite is the ghosts.
Okay, for me it's the werewolves and then the old man.
And as I said, I think all four are great.
Yeah, of course, they are. I just have a weak spot for anthologies.
Fair enough. It's such a clever way to make a movie. It's a way to put in a lot of plot lines without dragging them out to be a movie, and then have clever twists that link it.
Yeah.
Because some plots wouldn't make a good movie. I feel like all four of these plots would actually make very weak standalone movies, but make an excellent movie together.
If it has to be movie length, then of course. If it's just short films, I think they would do fine by themselves too.
Yeah. And I was thinking that, like, because the film's quite short, it's only 82 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that, like, I wouldn't want it to be longer, because the only way they could really make it longer would be adding another story, but I think the stories they've got is perfect.
I like short films.
Yeah,
like, not short films, but I like short
movies.
films too, but movies that are not too long.
Yeah, I think 90 minutes to 2 hours is the perfect film length.
Yeah.
I don't like the current trend of making movies longer and longer. Like, what was it? I think it was something like, there was the controversy because the new Venom movie was only 90 minutes. I'm like, the film doesn't need to be 3 hours long. It shouldn't be forced to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. A movie should just be as long as the story provides material for.
Like, the only 3-hour movie I've been able to sit through without thinking that film was too long was Endgame.
Oh, I've watched a lot of 3-hour movies. I don't know if Interstellar is a 3-hour movie, but I didn't feel bored then.
I watched Sound of Music, and I think that's about 3 hours, but I think the Sound of Music goes on a bit too fucking long.
Okay.
If we ever do a video on the Sound of Music, I'll make my argument how the film ends about 30 minutes before it actually ends. So yes, this was Trick or Treat. What was your favourite scene?
Where the old man crashed down the stairs and landed on the what is it called? The splinters? No, not splinters.
Glass shards?
Glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
The word you just said.
Yes. I think my favourite scene is either the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has to actually go to the twist when they turn into werewolves because of the sheer joy. Like, they didn't have to be werewolves, but the film is better because they are werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, how would you rate this movie? I think we actually forgot to do this in One Cut. I think we actually forgot to give like a rating. So shall we do One Cut and Trick or Treat's rating?
Yeah, of course.
I think we forgot to do a number rating.
But first do Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. I think this movie's a 10. This is up there in like the fucking holy quadrio we now have of One Cut, Trick or Treat, 12 Angry Men, and The Cabinet of Caligari.
Okay. I think this will maybe be the movie where our ratings will be farthest apart.
Yeah, but that's completely fine.
So don't get me wrong.
Godzilla was good.
I did actually like this movie a lot, but I just saw so many horror movies that and I have to kind of compare it to them.
Of course.
So I would give it a 6 out of 10.
That's completely fine and completely fair. Like, oh no, we have differing opinions. Also, I forgot to say it's actually a quintrio because I'm seeing Godzilla.
And again, if it's above a 5, it's a movie I would watch again and stuff like that, and I enjoy it a lot.
I don't understand people who are like, 7 means it's just good. It's like, no, 7 means it's like a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, 7 is like, I think 8 is maybe something like, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And a 10 is, it's a perfect movie in my eyes. And like 6 is, It's a perfectly good movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Yeah.
The way I see it is 10 is perfection, 9 is pretty damn close,
Mm-hmm.
8's like an amazing movie, 7's a great movie, I see 6 is a good movie, 5 is that was alright.
It's a movie.
4 is, yeah, 4 is okay, a little bit bad, but I could live with it. 3 is, okay, that was a bit rough. 2 is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And 1 is Alpha and Omega 2, A Holiday Adventure, the worst movie I've ever watched.
Okay.
Do you like how I just like, I didn't even describe the last two, but yeah, you know exactly what I mean. Well, one cut. What was your one cut rating?
I think one cut is an 8 or a 9.
I'm actually going to agree with you. 8 or a 9. I think the middle section just
the middle
slows
section
it
is
down a little.
the weakest. Like the first one is a B-movie fest. The last one is a perfect subversion of your expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
And the middle is just, it's build up. It's important, but it slows down the movie a little bit.
It's like the first half of Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
The rest of it wouldn't be as funny if you didn't have the incredibly slow bit before it.
But to be honest, the first half of Hot Fuzz is amazing in my eyes too. I enjoyed it.
Hot Fuzz is what, just to very quickly explain, I could never get into Hot Fuzz for like 4 times until I think I caught it about a third of the way in, decided to, watch the rest of it with my mom, and couldn't stop fucking laughing, and now every time I watch it, it's funnier because I know what's going to happen.
And you know that it's part of trilogy?
Yes, the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah.
We will have to do the Cornetto trilogy sometime.
Yep, we have to.
Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Red, blue, or green?
Ooh.
Of the Cornetto trilogy.
I think Hot Fuzz is the best one.
Okay, for me it's red. So, Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead's a great movie. I can't disagree there. I think The World's End's a great movie too. I just don't think it's as good.
Yeah, it's the weakest of the 3.
Well, before we conclude the episode, because we're going to start to be going back to, I wouldn't say we're not going to. I don't think we should aim for every. We should try and aim for every 2 weeks, but we're not promising every 2 weeks because we're both really busy right now.
Yeah, uni is on again, all that stuff.
So, we're going to try and keep it at a regular pace, but life happens. What isn't going to happen is that break, but I think we needed that break.
Yeah. Now we're back.
What?
Fresh. And 2 episodes on one day.
What is your choice for the next movie?
You got me.
You haven't decided, haven't you?
I have 2 movies laying there that I didn't watch yet. Both are Korean movies.
Okay.
And I'm either between Memories of Murder or A Taxi Driver. So, just from the names, what would you prefer?
I have absolutely no idea about either of them.
Just by the name.
Memories of Murder?
Okay. I think it's on Netflix too, so you should be able to watch it.
I don't mind renting.
Okay. Then Memories of Murder it is.
I haven't decided what I'll choose after, so we'll find out after Memories of Murder.
Okay, nice.
Thank you all for watching as always. We are happy to be back. It's gonna be a bit weird because we're just gonna. It's like we're gonna have 2 normal episodes, and then Christmas happens. So we're gonna have the Christmas episode, and then we're gonna have completely normal shit up until that's Halloween and Christmas, man. They're too fucking close.
Yeah.
And before we say our goodbyes, have a guess. Will I be pleasantly surprisingly on with the Muppet Christmas Carol, or will I be torturing him with the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Well, we will see.
Yes.
We will see.
Thank you all for watching, listening, or whatever weird thing you're doing in the future with it. I'm running out of senses. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.